the sophisticated cameras, with all the sensors, all those things. And remember, I told you that all over the country we have electric fans. It's not electric that if somebody touches the fans will get shocked and he will die. It's electric fans that you will see. There is a number every 1 kilometer. It's a mark of a number of the border. You see, 405 and 406. It starts right over here. The next one to the other side going to be 404 and continue the same thing. So if somebody will try to touch the fence from the other side, first they make the patrol road, they make it rough if there is any footprint that they can see it. They know exactly where people came from or where they're going, and this is the idea. And because some places it's not the concrete walls, it's just a fence. You will see that in a minute. And this was part of those things that let the Israelis know. You know, we have the post all along this border, and every one of those part of the fence show us the area where the fence belongs to, and then they know exactly in which area the fence was touched. And 2 minutes you will see helicopters, the patrols, the patrol roads, the soldiers will be there in couple of minutes in the same area, and they will try to find out who touched it. I can tell you that sometimes it's animals like pigs, wild pigs or stuff, that they go close to the fence and they touch the fence, and then all the army. It's a good thing because that's how they find out that they are ready for everything. So it's not only for terrorists sometimes. So. The difference between, and we are going to be on the border of Gaza Strip as well. We're going to be in that area as well, and they're going to talk to you also about those tunnels over there. The difference here and there is very, very much different, because here, when they curve those tunnels into this limestone, it's not easy. I mean, it's much harder work. Down in Gaza, it's along the coast of the Mediterranean, which is, much more easy because it's a sand. And the Hezbollah, the Hamas, have a different way to work over here and over there, and to dig those tunnels. That sometimes we find the one of the tunnels ended in the main dining room of kibbutz, one of the kibbutzim that we have there in the south, in the area of the Galilee. The idea of the Hezbollah here in this area was the same thing, to make sure that they're coming into area where we have civilians, where people live, and to appear in the middle of the village or kibbutz and do all those things and try to kidnap the people or kill, or to be ready for any war that they're going to have with us. That I know, I can tell you, they preparing kind of a war. One day, Nasrallah going to get out from the underground where he is hiding all the time, and they're going to react and to do something. But you see, look at the kibbutzim that we have along this area. It's not only kibbutz Misgabar, we have other kibbutzim, Karmia and kibbutz Yiftach, it's over here, and other kibbutzim, all this area, Nir'am and the Iranit, and all those places that we have here in this area, that they trying to find a way to get through to this place.
Shimon, could you say a word or two about how Hamas and Hezbollah are exporting their tunnel expertise to the cartels on our southern border? Thank you.
I will talk more about the Hezbollah over here, and when we will talk about Hamas later on, I will give you. But it's the same idea. The expert of those tunnels, for example, the tunnels that the Hezbollah doing over here, going in those limestone hills and go and create those tunnels, and like I told you, a bus can drive those tunnels. It's not like small tunnel, it's huge tunnels that they make over here. In Gaza, the Hamas, it's much smaller. It is tunnels that people can walk inside sometime, and the tunnels usually start from houses. A house that they live over there, a family, they take the house and they start digging the tunnel from that house. So,
right on the Mexican border.
Yeah, the same idea. And going underneath here, he told you they go below for about like 250 feet below. In Gaza, they are little higher level, but sometimes it's about like 150 feet below, sometimes more. And they cannot go lower in Gaza because they will get to the aquifer, the water, and they will have a problem with the water over there of the aquifer that they have in this area. Here they don't have that problem, so they can dig much deepest. That's about this part. All the experiments of doing all those tunnels and all those things come actually from Iran. The practice, the engineers, everything comes from Iran. And I told you about, the Hezbollah. They are not natives of Lebanon. The Hezbollah is Shias who came all the way from Iran. They moved from Iran over here to the south of Lebanon because it was after 1991. Until 1991, we didn't have the Hezbollah here in the south of Lebanon. We didn't have anything. We didn't have those Shias that came from Iran. They called this organization Hezbollah just when they came over here. That was the first time, 1991, first time that we heard about the Hezbollah. And it was lots of people who coming, Shias, who coming from Iran, all the way to the south of Lebanon, because I told you, two things happened. The PLO camps were left because the peace process start with the Israelis, and they moved from here to Ramallah, to the area of Sumeria. Ramallah is next to Jerusalem, and they sitting over there, they building their, we can say, government of the PLO, and that was the beginning. And they sat over there, and when they moved from Lebanon, the Shias from Iran came and replaced their place. They took their place. So that was the first time that we start to have the Shias over here. Later on, they called this organization Hezbollah, and step by step they were keep coming because it's a very wealthy place. The city of Lebanon was very wealthy area, so they keep coming, and until today, many Shias keep moving from Iran to Lebanon. And they create this organization. They train, mostly they go do their training in Iran, and they coming over here experts of all those things. They do also training all over Lebanon, but they let's say that their commanders, their teaching, everything they get from Iran. Also the weapons, all the missiles, all the weapons that they have comes from Iran. Sometime in the last few years, every time when we see the convoy that comes from Syria all the way to Iran, from Iran, and they cross by Syria and goes on the way to Lebanon, Israel managed to blow it on the way. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to stop any Iranian base in Syria. So we are not going to let the Iranians do and build any base in Syria. Every time that we have any of those problems, the Israeli jets going and they blow it. And this is the same thing that happened over here. So this is the Hezbollah. The Hamas, it's totally different story. Remember I told you about the time of Golda Meir, 1974.
What does Hezbollah mean?
The meaning of Hezbollah? The name of Hezbollah, it means like the goddess of God. That's the meaning of that. Hezbollah. And this is the party of God, yes, kind of. And the Hamas, it's totally different story. Hamas, we had, 1974. I told you about the Islamic Party that we had at the Israeli parliament. And what's happened is Golda Meir went to the Islamic Party in the Israeli parliament. They were not part of the coalition, but he went to the Islamic Party and told them, look, you're always talking about that the Palestinians are your brothers and families, and you want to help the Palestinians, you want to support them. I have a great idea, because there is a very bad situation with the social life in Samaria, Judea, Gaza, West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. The idea is that every time that we try to give any support of humanity support of all kind of social rights to the Palestinians in the West Bank, they don't want to get it because it comes from Israel. So the idea is that it's going to come from you, from your side, the Islamic Party. You're going to be strong, we know that, but you're going to invest, you're going to make a plan what your needs, what the needs of the people in the West Bank and Gaza, and we're going to invest the money. We are going to give the money for that. You take the money. We are not giving you money. We're giving you just equipment. We're giving you, things to build, study, everything. And it's all going to be in one condition. You stay away from any terrorism activities. If you do this, you're going to go to jail. Then they said, okay, we accept it. They accepted this, the idea. And they start to work all over the West Bank and Gaza. I can tell you that from 1974 to about like 1976, 2 years, thousands of kindergartens were built in the West Bank and Gaza. Hundreds of elementary schools, things that they never had before. High schools, 5 universities were built by the Israelis, by the Islamic Party, but Israel build it. Israel paid for that. And we start teaching them to move and to think about life, not about wars, not about terrorism activities. And this was the days that everything around the country with the Palestinians was blooming. I can tell you that most of the waiters, people who worked in the restaurants in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, everywhere, were Palestinians from Gaza, from everywhere. They can come, they could sleep there. They had all those, you remember those days? In the 80s, the Palestinians were everywhere. They had, no checkpoints, no anything that stopped them. It was free, totally free. And this was something that was really nice, but we made a report. Doron Almog, your friend, he wrote that report. We did some intelligence work, and we came to Golda Meir, and we told her, we're in a very big dangerous, because the Islamic Party building in the West Bank and Gaza kind of branches, organizations inside the organization, that it's very hard to get to the head of those people, to see who are they. Everything was undercover, and we knew that they do something. For the PLO, it was a very big conflict. They even tried to kill one of those Israeli Arab Islamic Party members to stop them of supporting the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, because they said, look what's going on. We cannot have more terrorists to join us. People make their life are good. I mean, children go to school, they have a great life. Why they should change it? So they had a big problem with the terrorists to join the organization of the PLO. So the Yasser Arafat sent troops once to terrorists to kill one of those Knesset members, the Israeli parliament members from the Islamic Party. Kind of warning. He got injured very, very badly. He wasn't killed, but it was something to stop the Islamic Party of working with the Israelis together, of building the social life in the West Bank and Gaza. And this was something that Golda says, no way. They are doing incredible things, and they are not going to take any part of terrorism activities. This is good for us. Later on in 1978, Menachem Begin became the prime minister. The leadership changed, but everything continued. And we have to watch them all the time, to follow them, to see what's going on. And yes, they were out of any terrorism activities until 1987. 1987, it was kind of revolt in all over the West Bank and Gaza. It's called Intifada. You probably heard that word, Intifada. It's kind of uprising of the Palestinians that they wants to have rights as Israeli citizens. Israel, we couldn't accept it, because if this is going to happen and another 3.5 million Palestinians going to have Israeli citizens, Israel can use the majority for in the parliament. So this is something that we couldn't accept. And then they start a revolt. It starts in Hebron, very small demonstration, and later on it was like a wave all over. All the Palestinians were on the streets. I mean, taking stones against the soldiers everywhere. Sometimes you take a stone, and people thought, were saying, what? They taking stone and you shooting them. Yes, that's what we did. Because if we drive this bus and someone will sit on the corner over there and he's going to drop a rock like this over to the front glass of the bus, and it's going to go through, the driver can lose control and disaster can be very bad. And it happened. So at the beginning, Yitzhak Rabin, he was the Minister of Defense, and he said, don't worry, they will get tired, and we are going to close the money support to the Islamic Party, and they will stop. Because this was the first time that we found the Islamic Party, they didn't stay on the side. They were part of the revolt. They were part of the Intifada. And this is something that started to be, for us, people were very concerned about that. And they put the Islamic Party, they closed the money, they closed all those things. But they found a different way to get the money from Iran via United States over here to Israel. And they start to get the money from Iran. So now Iran controls the Islamic Party, not Israel anymore. And the Islamic Party forced the Palestinians to join terrorism, to move over all this, and they paid for that. And this was something, for example, the mayor of one of those cities, al-Fahd, he was captured. We put him in a jail for almost 12 years. He was in a jail until we had they changed prisoners, for one of the Israeli soldiers that was kidnapped, and he was released, Gilad Shalit, and we gave about like 980 prisoners from the Palestinian terrorists back to Gaza and other places. Anyway, this was something that I told you we couldn't accept this thing, and we stopped. We were trying, and the Intifada grew and grew and grew and grew. And the end of the Intifada was actually, I can say, in 1991, when they started to sit around the table and talk about this process with the Palestinians. And that's the time that Yitzhak Shamir, that he was the prime minister, says, I'm not going to sit with the Islamic Party. The Islamic Party are Israeli citizens. When you have to make a peace, you make peace with the enemies. You don't make peace with your neighbors, with your friends. And we are going to talk only with the PLO. And so two mistakes. One, that Yitzhak Shamir didn't put the Islamic Party after all this process. But the first mistake was with Golda Meir, that she gave so many rights to the Islamic Party, it was very hard to deal with that. Anyway, we are coming later on to that part, that we have the Islamic Party out of any process. They were out. For Yasser Arafat, he was very happy because it was revenge to the Islamic Party, because they helped the Israelis at the beginning. So he was the happiest one. So he said, yes, of course, the Islamic Party will be out of any process. And the Islamic Party had troops that's called the Shabab. That's the name of those troops that they had, like kind of soldiers, army that they made terrorists, that they called the Shabab. And step by step, they start to build their own organization inside. They said, no problem. If we don't have a part, if we cannot take part of all this process, we have people in Gaza, in the West Bank, that we want them to be. And of course, they could be. And this was the beginning of the Islamic Party in the West Bank and Gaza. Later on, they start to have a name for this party. What do you think is the name of this party? Hamas. So I can say in kind of a way, we create the Hamas. In kind of a way. Then, when Israel gave the Palestinian rights, autonomy in the West Bank and Gaza, all over, we gave their own autonomy. They can control their own people in all those places, zone A, B, and C, where Danny told us about it. I'm going to repeat about that because Thomas will ask here and I will take to understand that. So the different zones was that the majority in zone C, which is zone A, only Palestinian. A, it's like autonomy, full autonomy in Ramallah, in Nablus. When we need, we go there. But, it's all controlled by Palestinians. We gave the Palestinians weapons to the police, to the army, and they have army, the PLO. In the West Bank and Gaza, it's all Israeli guns. We gave them, all those rifles and ammunition and everything, because otherwise they cannot control their own people. And sometimes we have many times that Palestinian police shot Israeli soldiers. Not many, but it happens. But the idea that all these thought that the Islamic Party had we can say a party inside of the area of the West Bank and Gaza that's called Hamas. Later on, in all over the world, we told the Palestinians, we're giving you your autonomy, but you're going to have an election. You're going to have it as a democratic leadership. And they said, okay, we'll take area that we are going to try to make the first election that's going to be on the Palestinian Authority. And that was in Gaza. Yasser Arafat didn't want to take a chance in the West Bank at the beginning. He said, we will do that in Gaza. And it was election. It was democratic election over there. And you know how much voters the Hamas got? 85% of the voters was for Hamas. Only 15% for the PLO. Why? Because every child, everyone that got any social support in Gaza found himself that he have to pay back to the Islamic Party. That's the organization that I told you that they built at the beginning when all these processes start from 1974. And here we are with a party that heads the majority. In that day, the Hamas, who won the election, killed about 300 policemen of the PLO organization that they were in Gaza. They took the leadership and they sat over there. Later on, inside, there were people who says we cannot talk to the Israelis anyway, because the Hamas start having kind of. So we have the Islamic Jihad, we have the Al-Quds, the Gudud al-Aqsa, the Al-Aqsa troops, also, which is mostly in the area of the West Bank. The Islamic Jihad, they are mostly in Gaza, which they are against the Hamas, not against the Hamas. They are part of, but they don't accept the way of the Hamas. So that's what we have right now.
You said Yasser Arafat was born. Where was he born? Arafat, where was he born?
Arafat was born in Cairo.
Right.
He moved to Gaza and started to tell the Palestinians that they can have rights and they have to fight for their land and stuff. And that was the beginning of the organization of the PLO.
Very good.
Okay, everybody, experts of